All right, so welcome to Chapter 7 and Lesson 7.1, and we're going to finally get into two-step equations. I've got Ben here helping me today. Say hi, Ben.
Woohoo!
All right, and what we're going to be doing, I've been waiting for this lesson for a long time. We've been really talking about the basics of this lesson since the very beginning of the year. So let's get right into it. When we're solving equations, in other words, when we're solving for an x, okay, think of an equation like this. This is what we're going to be working on now. So 2x plus 3 is equal to 7. Okay, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what x is to make this true. Okay, now we have already been working with 2 and 3. If I want to get rid of something in an equation, like I want to get rid of a plus 3 or a times 2, what do? I do the... If I want to get rid of plus 3, how do I make it go away?
By
subtracting. Right. So the idea of opposites. We've been talking about that forever. Okay. So we're going to be using that again. And then if I do something to one side of the equation, think of an equation like a teeter-totter. What do I have to do on the other side? I have to do the same thing. That's the idea of keeping balance. Okay. Now, from the very beginning, we talked about this acronym right here. Okay. We called it SADMAP. Okay, and if you look at SADMAP carefully, all it is the word PEMDAS spelled backwards. And just like before, subtraction and addition are going to tie, so are division, multiplication, then exponents, then parentheses. Okay, and then the very first step is something we're going to get to a little bit later, and it's the idea of simplifying. And so sometimes there's going to be some stuff we have to do first. We'll simplify, but basically all we're doing is taking what we did all year long when we're solving equations, and we're going to add this one extra step. Okay, when we have to do more than one thing. And so let's take this 2x plus 3 equals 7. Let's take it to the next screen, and let's practice SADMAP, opposites, balance. Okay, so those are the three steps that we're going to use: SADMAP, opposites, and balance to solve equations. So 2x plus 3 equals 7. Let's do that one. 2x plus 3 equals 7. All right, SADMAP, and actually I don't really care about the E and the M. I care about this part, the SADMAP, the first two parts. Say to get rid of subtraction and addition first, then get rid of division and multiplication. So this is going to be step number 1, and this is going to be step number 2. Okay, so when you look at 2x plus 3, what's happening to the x that keeps it from being by itself? Well, it's getting multiplied times 2, right? And it's getting added by 3. So SADMAP tells me to get rid of subtraction and addition first. So I'm going to start by subtracting 3. Same thing as before, opposites balance. So I put a minus 3. I put the line underneath the whole equation. I fruit ninja the plus 3 and the minus 3 because those are opposites. They cancel out. And I'm left with 2x.
Equals
7 minus 3 is 4. Now how do I get rid of the 2? Just like we've always done. Get rid of multiply by 2 by dividing by 2. Again, we get a fruit ninja. We get x equals 2. And that's the answer. Check it. See if it works. 2 times 2 is?
4. Plus
3 is 7. So it checks. That's all there is to solving a two-step equation. All right, so let's take one out of the book. Let's take negative a plus, now let's change colors here. Let's do it in green again. Negative a plus 6 equals 8. All right, so let's start by getting rid of the negative out front of the a is like a negative 1 times a. Okay, so we'll get rid of that second because that's multiplication. We're going to get rid of the plus 6 first by minusing 6. And we're going to minus 6 on both sides, and I'm going to get negative a, fruit ninjas, yes, equals 2. And if negative a equals 2, you can probably figure that out in your head. Obviously, then a would equal negative 2. The way you get there is you either multiply or divide by a negative 1 on both sides. If I multiply negative a, the negative variable, by negative 1, what's negative times the negative?
Positive.
Positive a. And positive 2 times negative 1 gives me negative 2. Sure enough, if I check that out, what is the negative of negative 2? It would be just
positive.
2. Plus 6 is equal to 8, so it checks. All right? That is literally all there is to these problems. All right, so let's give you a couple to practice on your own. Why don't you do negative 9 minus y over 7. I'll make that y look a little more like a variable. There we go. And let's set that equal to negative 12. Okay. And let's also have 13 minus 6f equal to 31. Okay, what I'd like you to do right now is go ahead and pause the video, copy each of these equations, and using SADMAP, opposites, and balance, solve for the variable.
Might want to write SADMAP.
All right, so go ahead and pause now and go ahead and solve these. And when you come back, we'll go through the solutions, exactly how the work is supposed to look, and we'll see if yours jives. So pause the video now and do your best to solve these two equations. Okay, welcome back. At this point, you should have solved these equations. So let's take a stab at them. Again, remembering SADMAP opposites balance. So on the first side, I have -9 and have minus y over 7. Well, clearly the y is being divided by 7. Okay, so the easiest, or I'm sorry, and that's going to come second because we do SADMAP. I'm going to write it right here one more time. Tells us that what we're supposed to get rid of first is subtraction and addition. So let's take that -9 out front. Okay, oops. And let's get rid of it by adding 9 to both sides. So if I add 9 to both sides, I'm going to have to carry this down a little bit further. Okay, but I want to leave this right here so we're thinking about it while we're working. All right, Fruit Ninja there, we get -y over 7. And on the right, -12 plus 9. They're different signs, so find the difference, which is 3. And the negative wins the tug-of-war. Now, that's the first step. Just like we would normally do it, now I have to get the divide by 7. And the way to get rid of divide by 7 would be to multiply by 7. But I also see a negative right here. So if I took that negative, and I thought about that negative, it doesn't really matter exactly where the negative is. If I thought about that negative being down here, then what I could do when I solve this is I could go ahead and just multiply both sides by -7. Then not only does the divide by 7 cancel out, so does the negative. And all I got to do on the right is to multiply again by -7. So now both the negative and the 7 cancel out with the negative and the 7, and I'm left with just y. And -3 times -7 is a positive 21. Sure enough, if I check this, positive 21 divided by 7 would give me 3. And -9 minus 3 does in fact equal -12. So that checks. Okay. For the next one, let's go ahead and also start with the subtraction addition. Now this is actually the 13 out front is a positive 13, so we can think of that like it's being added to the -6f. Okay. You could have rewritten this equation as -6f plus 13 is equal to 31. So the way we're going to get rid of this either way is we're going to subtract 13 from both sides. Again, we do SADMAP, tells us to get rid of the subtraction and addition first, leaving me with -6f on the left. And on the right, 31, that looks like 3/, but it's 31 minus 13, and that's equal to 18. All right. Once again, I have a negative number with the variable. Let's get rid of it in one step. So the opposite of multiplying by -6 is dividing by -6. So divide both sides by -6, and you should have gotten f equals -3. And sure enough, if you check that, put -3 in for f, you'll get -18. I'm sorry, you'll get positive 18 because it's -3 and -6. And 13 plus 18 does in fact equal 31. All right. So the only thing that's really new about solving these equations is we've now got this extra step, SADMAP. Okay? And so this step right here, oops, didn't mean to get the 9. This step right here is the only one that's a little bit different. Okay? And so this is what I need you to remember, because this is what is new for this lesson. Subtraction, addition, division, multiplication, exponents, parentheses. That's the order. We're going to tear these equations apart and fix them. We're still going to do opposites. We're still going to do balance. All right, everybody. Well, that pretty much wraps things up. We will continue practicing. And for today's video, I had my 6th graders today, or pitcher, I should say, and they were busy in Advisor, and they made a 3-dimensional pyramid out of cups. So there's Dalton and Austin, and they're a pyramid. So anyway, thank you for watching, and of course our guest was Ben, so thanks to Ben. He had to leave just a second ago when I was pausing. So I will see you all. Thanks for watching the video. We'll practice solving 2-step equations finally throughout this chapter. And we'll also talk more about that first step, simplifying, but we'll save that for another lesson. All right, take care. Thanks for watching, and see you in class on Monday.